Brandon here. Time for more SexxxPerTease. Today's question is, why is domestic violence so common in same-sex relationships? This is definitely an issue that needs to be talked about more because I feel like people don't really address domestic violence in gay relationships, and I feel like it is very common. I mean, I can't speak on if it's more common or less common than in straight relationships, but I do feel like there is way more. It's easy. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say it's easier for women to find help if they're in a domestic violence situation, since there are so many countless stories of women being murdered by their partners, or they get protective orders, or they try to run away from their partner and he still finds them, hunts them down, and then she still has to deal with that terrorizing by a partner. So it is very sad and common, but it is very common in same-sex relationships, and I feel like there definitely isn't as much like in the media covering why are same-sex relationships so violent. I mean, and not to say every same-sex relationship has domestic violence, but I can even just speaking from personal experience with like my friends, and even I've had fights with a partner in the past before, and I just feel like I honestly don't know a single queer person of color that's never been in at least one physical fight with a partner ever. So I think I know firsthand, like, it is extremely common and it is extremely prevalent that domestic violence just happens in gay relationships. And I just feel like it's probably common because there is like this whole men should never put their hands on women, even though men still do that and beat up their partners that are of the opposite sex. But in same-sex relationships, it's like, okay, you're the same gender, and you just get very passionate and intensely like upset with your partner hurting you in a way, or feeling hurt by your partner, and then you lash out, and there's no like saying you can't hit another man if you're a man, or you're a woman you can't hit another woman. So I feel like in society it's never okay to like for a woman or a man to like berate a woman or talk down to a woman or attack a woman, etc. Like that's just like wrong whenever you see it on the street. But if you see like two people of the same gender arguing, it's like people are just like, whatever, they'll figure it out. So I kind of feel like there isn't that much of a societal barrier or like a societal like measure for people to be like, oh no, like this gay couple is arguing with each other, because I kind of just feel like it's more equal because we're taught like women are weaker than men, so a man should never hit a woman. But in a same-sex relationship, there is no like, you should never hit another woman. If you're a woman or you're a man, you never should hit another man. And just also the fact that there are definitely resources for domestic violence in same-sex relationships, especially if you go to like gay clinics and gay health resources and gay organizations. They definitely have resources to help you if you are experiencing domestic violence. But I feel like it's just not talked about enough because people are not taught, I guess, about how prevalent it is in same-sex relationships, and also just people just aren't as aware, and it's not like depicted in like TV or movies that often have gay domestic violence. Like it's so rare to ever see in the media that a gay couple is experiencing domestic violence or ways to get away from a partner that is abusive or stalking you or hurting you. Like it's just not something that gets talked about as often, and I feel like people don't really view it as bad as a same-sex relationship as in a heterosexual relationship, because it's just like you're looked at as equals, I guess, if you're both men or women, even though you obviously can be very different. Like one can be stronger than the other, one can be bigger than the other, etc. But I just feel like in gay relationships it's just very like hot-headed temper, and like that's even used sometimes as like a way for people to be like, ooh, they're so sexy and fiery. But it's just like, or even toxic, and people are obsessed with being toxic nowadays. So I do feel like it's just a way for people to be like, I guess, permissive of abusive behaviors, and that is why people make a joke out of it nowadays, especially in the gay community. But in reality, it's like domestic violence is very much a real issue in the community, and people are experiencing it, and they are living in relationships that are toxic, and they're scared to leave their partner, or they feel scared for their safety in their life, and it's unfortunate. And I just hope that you can find resources that are available to you, and there is no magic answer to know why gay relationships just end up being abusive, or why it seems so common in the gay community, especially the queer community of color, why domestic violence is so common. But I just kind of feel like it's just a way of like people being brought up and like hitting you if you do something wrong, or try to hitting you to like correct your behavior, which obviously is not a valid method. Or people just get so pent up in their emotions and upset and frustrated with their partner and feel like words are not working, so you can catch these hands as a way to try to correct your behavior. And honestly, it just feels like that just unleashes a new cycle. And I feel like once domestic violence has happened the first time, it most likely is going to happen again unless you leave after the first time, because I feel like that's the only way to like make sure it doesn't happen again is if you end the relationship. And sadly most people don't, because they think it's just a one-off thing and it's going to never happen again. And then it does, it happens again after that, and it's just a toxic cycle that doesn't seem to be broken until someone gets help and therapy, and usually that's way after they leave the relationship. So thanks for joining me for this episode of SexxxPerTease.